just to finish this story, so I said, the guy comes in wearing the most beautiful suit I've ever seen. In fact, I wanted to say, who's your tailor, but it wouldn't be a good negotiation. Guy walks in to talk about soldiers on the border. I say, who's your tailor? This didn't work. So he walks in, handsome guy, beautifully tailored. And I said, no, we want you to give us 28,000 soldiers for our border free of charge. And he laughs at me. He sort of laughs. The State Department woman, very good, 25 years she's worked on Mexico. She said, sure, they'll never do that. I said, yes, they will, 100%. He said, no. I said, yes. He said, no. I said, yes. Then I said, here's what I'm doing. I'm signing an order. Every frickin' car that you sell into the United States is going to have a 50% tariff. And every piece of merchandise you sell into the United States, starting on Monday morning, this was a Friday evening, will have a tariff of 25 to 50%, and we'll make a tremendous profit over and above the cost to you. He said, may I have a minute, sir, and call somebody? I said, you're going to call the president, right? Yes, I am. Came back. I said, do me a favor. I'm very late. You know, they're trying to impeach me, and I have to work on that a little bit. These sleazebags. I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone. Think of it. And they considered me to be a great president. Nobody did what I did. Nobody. So what happens is this. So he comes back 2 minutes later. Sir, I'd like to report that it would be our honor to give you thousands of soldiers, sir. We would love to give them to you free of charge, sir. I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we gave, Mexico was a big contributor. I just wanted to set the record straight, you know. Remember when I said if they don't give, we're going to build the wall 10 feet higher? I was going to do that too. The massive costs of illegal immigration are now being experienced by communities all across the country and are destroying your children's education, their safety, and indeed their lives. Your children are in danger. They can't go to school with these people. These people are from a different planet. Kamala is turning us into a third world nation. That's what happened in San Francisco. When she was the DA of San Francisco, the things she did, she started that whole decline. With our victory, he says, Willie Brown. Who said that? Who's the guy? What? Stand up. This can only happen in California. Yes. Yeah. I didn't say it. Remember that. He said it. He said it. He said it. Do you remember when a man, we're talking about this guy, Chris Christie, he went off the reservation, right? We have some people, and some guy shouts out to me, he's a fat pig, sir. Nobody heard it but me, you know, but it was still, he said it. Sir, you should not call Chris Christie a fat pig, please. He is not a fat pig. You shouldn't, you're very rude, sir. We're going to have to throw you out if you do it again. He is not a fat pig. And you know what? The press, they're saying, that son of a gun. They couldn't even report this, sir, because I was defending, because you're not allowed to use the word fat. You can use any word you can use. You cannot call somebody fat. You lose your life. With our victory, we are going to become, and quickly, the greatest, strongest, freest, safest, and most powerful nation the world has ever seen. And on day one, I will close the border and I will stop the invasion of illegal criminals coming into our country. And despite all of the damage that she has done to this state and to our nation in the past 4 years, she's the worst. Oh, she's terrible. She's terrible. Thank goodness she doesn't have much energy, because if she had real energy, she'd really be bad. Kamala Harris said this week, she can't think of one thing, not one thing, that she would do differently. Take a look. I'll show you a few.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years? There is not a thing that comes to mind.
I stood there on the tarmac watching you check your watch.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers.
Would you have done something differently? There is not a thing that comes to mind.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
Gut-wrenching new details in the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national who crossed the unsecured southern border back in 2022.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
A fifth illegal immigrant accused of attacking two New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret.
Would you have done something differently? There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Only 18% say the economy is in excellent or good condition.
US inflation has hit a new 40-year high, increasing by 9.1% over the financial year.
The cost of homes have spiked. Home buyers need to earn 80% more than they did in 2020 to afford a house.
Were you the last person in the room? Yes.
How dumb an answer. You know, their whole campaign is based around the fact that she's not going to do what Biden did. And then I was watching that one live. I got to watch my things. You know, it's part of my business, right? It's like a little different. But I had to watch it, and I said, oh, this is going to be a killer answer. You know, I assumed she was going to go through a whole list of things that she'd do differently. She said she wouldn't. The worst president in history, and she said she'd do it the same. That answer, that she would do nothing differently, is a totally disqualifying answer. It disqualifies her from running. Think of this, 86% of the country feels that we're on the wrong track, and she's given, can you imagine? 86% record of the country feels that we're on the wrong track. Doesn't that tell you something? It tells you we got a problem. I actually worry about the next 3 months. I really do. I worry about the next 3.5, 4 months. We'll end up in a world war because of this, the people that we have. And if you're on the wrong track by that amount, how can you keep someone who has stated plainly and clearly that she would do nothing? She'd do nothing from Biden. With your vote, I will act with urgency and speed to save America and to rescue the people of California from Kamala Harris's atrocious failures. I will very quickly deflate. We are going to take inflation and we are going to deflate it. We are going to deflate inflation. We are going to defeat inflation. We're going to knock the hell out of inflation. We're going to use a thing that we have more of than anybody else. It's called liquid gold, oil and gas. And we're going to make America affordable again. For all of the working people struggling under the highest tax state in the nation, we will have large tax cuts. We're going to give large tax cuts for workers, and we will, ready? No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. And no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. None. By contrast, Kamala is known as the taxing queen. It's the only election I've ever seen where they say, we're going to raise your taxes. Vote for me, I'm going to raise your taxes, like by 72% or something. And they're going to end the Trump tax cuts. I gave you the largest tax cuts in the history of our country, larger than the Reagan tax cuts. They're going to end them. Add that to it. Her plan will raise taxes for the typical American family by more than $3,000 a year. In Detroit 2 days ago, I also announced that we will make interest on car loans fully deductible. Because affording a car is essential to restoring the American dream. You know, we've lost the American dream in this country. We have lost it for our young people. They want the American dream. They want to have a great life, like Elon Musk. They like his life. How good was he the other night? Did you see him? He was so happy. He was so happy. You know, he lives a reclusive life, the life of a super genius, but he's rather dark MAGA. That's right, dark. He's a different kind of a guy. He's great. He's great. He sees a hat. I didn't even know we made him. It's all black with black letters. That's called very subtle, right? You hardly even see Make America Great Again. He fell in love with it, and he wore it. I don't think he's taken it off in weeks. No, he wore it. And I said, what is that? He said, it's dark MAGA. I said, Elon, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, he gave us the best endorsement. He endorsed me a few months ago. He said, if Trump doesn't win, it's probably the end of our country. He means that too, by the way. He means that. And you know where he is today? He's campaigning in Pennsylvania for me. That's how good. He feels it's so important. And I really think we won't have a country left. Elon, oh, he'll be. He's a great guy. But you know, really, I got involved last week because, as you know, Biden and Harris have done a horrible job on North Carolina and some of the other ones, in particular, the first of the hurricanes that came in. It really wiped out North Carolina. And a person called, a person I know, an official in North Carolina, and said, sir, we're wiped out here. All our lines are down. We have no power. We have absolutely no communication. It became to the mainland. What happened is the water was so high, it created, I mean, they were literally landlocked. And he said, do you know Elon Musk? And I said, yeah, I do. What do you need? He said, we need Starlink. I said, what the hell is Starlink? True. I said, Elon, what the hell is Starlink? No, I said, what is Starlink? He said, communication. Very good communication. So I called Elon. I said, Elon, they're in big trouble in North Carolina. They need Starlink, and you guys they're doing so well with it. It's a very hard thing to get. So I said, you guys, is there anything you can do? Because it's very, in the meantime, my phone rings, and it's the guy from North Carolina thanking me, and I'm still on the phone with Elon. I said, Elon, what the hell did you do? You told them that you've got it before I even hung up. So he's on a different planet than us, right? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, you were talking and I was, going, whatever. And he got it. He got him a lot of it. He got it. And I said to the people, what's better, that or the hard line? He said, actually, Starlink is better. Starlink is better. But he's a great guy, and he's done a great job. And it's too bad that Kamala didn't do. I don't even know. She's essentially not even gone there, essentially. But what happened in North Carolina, and then Ron DeSantis, who's done a very good job in Florida, he didn't want her even involved. He was dealing with Biden. He didn't want her involved. I will also cancel Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate. Isn't it crazy? You guys, you have brownouts, blackouts. California has brownouts and blackouts every weekend, every day. And now he says, let's go all electric cars. These people are crazy. And you know, the thing is that, and they're great, I like electric, but you know, they're for a certain market. You know the amazing thing with Elon? He makes the Tesla. He's never, and he's a friend of mine, he has never called up and said, would you do me a favor? Would you lay the hell off the electric car? Because he understands, he's got a great market. It's a smart market. It's a more expensive car. It's got some great things and some assets, but you also have to let gasoline-propelled cars in and hybrids in. You know, they're, they have another one now. You ever hear about the hydrogen? It's hydrogen. The problem with hydrogen has one fault. Somebody said it's better than everything. Got one fault. If it blows up, you're not recognizable. It's true. In other words, it doesn't happen much, maybe once a day in the nation. If the hydrogen car blows up, it's gone, you're gone. Your wife looks at a tree and there's nothing but blood on the tree. She said, I just can't tell, is that my husband? No, these are serious problems. They wanted to give me one. I said, no, thanks, I don't want one. No, I'll take electric, frankly. So, but isn't that something? Elon never called up, and he never said that. I swear to you, he never said it. And he said, or as Biden would say, oh, no, I'm not kidding. You remember when he'd say, yes, we've been threatened with war by Russia. No, I'm not joking. He always says, I'm not joking. About the no, I'm not joking. I don't know if anybody understands that, but he's a weird dude. I'll tell you. They called J.D. Vance and me weird. How about the vice president, her and Biden, the combination? But by the way, how good a job did J.D. Vance do the other night? Right? Our J.D. I shouldn't say it, but I took him in because he has a very good brain. You know, we like smart people. He's very smart. He was a top student at Ohio State. He finished in 2 years, top of his class, and then I didn't know you could do that actually, but he finished 2 years. Then he went to the military. Was outstanding in the military. Then he came out. He went to Yale Law School, and he and his wife were like top students. And I sort of picked him a little bit for the brain. We had a lot of great people. We have a lot of great people that were in that group, and any one of them would have been fantastic. But JD did a great job the other night. The guy that he went against, you ever hear a guy call himself a knucklehead? And he's in a debate. I mean, he's the biggest liar. He lied about everything. And how come he went to China 28 times? What's going on? He went to China. You know, nobody asked him that one question. I kept saying, somebody asked him the question, why was he in China 28 times? There's a guy's got some problems. By the way, if you think she's all right, she's not. I think she's worse than him too, actually. But he went to China 28 times, and I'm waiting for somebody to ask him that question. It won't be the fake news, I can tell you that. It won't be those people. And I will not allow California politicians to get away with their plan to impose a 100% ban on the sale of gas-powered cars and trucks in your state. Not going to let it. That'll be ended in the first day. That'll be ended. These people, it's unbelievable. To bring jobs, factories, and wealth racing back to our shores, we will have a 15% made in America corporate tax rate. In other words, you have to make your product in America. Then you have only 15. Remember, I brought it down to 21% from almost 40%. Everyone said, there's no way you'll be able to. I had to get it passed in Congress. Can you believe it? It's the greatest tax cut, the biggest tax cut, and regulation cuts. The most regulations ever cut by a president by, I think, 3 or 4 times, actually. But we also, which I think is actually more important, I asked a lot of the big executives of the biggest companies, what was more important, the tax cut, where we took them from almost 40% to 21%, or the regulation cuts? Every single one of them said the regulation cuts, which actually surprised me. But it was the regulation. But I got you down to 21. And 21 is highly competitive with other countries. You know, we're dealing with other countries because they'll take our businesses in 2 seconds. It's not like, oh, gee, you know, you're not going to give them and they're going to sit still. They don't care about our country. Many of them aren't even from America. They're not from the U.S. They're, you know, international business people, very smart. And they will leave here in 2 seconds if they can get something substantially. So I came up with this idea. So now I have you at 21, brought you all the way down. And I said, if you make your product here, you don't have to pay 21, you can pay 15. And people called me from all over the planet. I got calls from the top guys on Wall Street. Who the hell gave you that idea? That's so good. And I oftentimes say, it's like the paperclip. Somebody came up with the idea for a paperclip 100 years ago. They look at it, and everybody looked at it and said, why the hell didn't I think of that? It's like the same thing, right? And for those who don't make their product in America, they'll be forced to pay stiff tariffs for the privilege of competing with our cherished companies and stealing our jobs, our treasure, our wealth. And we will take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff to the benefit of American citizens and pay off debt, or we're going to take care of our, you know, we owe $35 trillion. We're going to start cutting it down very quickly. We'll be able to with growth. We call it growth. But we're going to do that. We're going to protect these companies with tariffs. Remember this, in many years, many decades, China never paid 10 cents. And what they did to our country was incredible. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China. I don't think they liked me, but actually I liked them. And we actually had a very good relationship, President Xi and myself. Somebody said, what kind of a man is he? He's a fierce person. He is. He's a very smart guy. I hate to say brilliant because every time I call him brilliant, the press says, he said the president, well, he is a brilliant guy. Got 1.4 billion people, He rules it with an iron fist, and the press gets upset when I say he's a smart man. I would think he's a smart man, but actually, he's somebody that we can't. The worst people are the enemies from within, the sleazebags, like a guy that you're going to elect to the Senate, Shifty Adam Schiff. He's a sleazebag. No, this guy. No, he's a major lowlife, and because of the fact that, they send millions and millions of ballots someplace. They send them all over the place. California, you don't have anything like a voting booth. They take ballots, they just send them all over the place. They come back, and they say, oh, somebody won by 5 million votes. It's so corrupt, so corrupt. But you're going to have Shifty Adam Schiff, one of the true, I know him well, because he conceived of the Russia hoax, right? The Russia hoax. He is a bad person. He's a sick person. Not a stupid guy, but he's a sick puppy, that guy. One of the least, I'm not allowed to say this because this could cost you your president, because you're not supposed to talk about somebody's looks, and so I won't. But to me, he's one of the least attractive human beings I think I've ever seen. Not a stupid person. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. No. He's got the smallest neck. His neck is like so small, and his head is large. So he's not being held up by much. I can guarantee you he will not be playing for your local football team, I guarantee. But we're pleased to be joined today by some incredible people and friends of mine and warriors, real warriors, representatives. Darrell Issa, where's Darrell? Is he here? Darrell. He's a great guy. Matt Gaetz. Is Matt Gaetz? Oh, look at Matt Gaetz. He's a great guy. He's really a great person. And he's on the controversial side, but that's not bad. And is he here with Ginger? He's here with Ginger. Hi, Ginger. And Ken Calvert, and he is here someplace. Where's Ken? Ken, thank you. Good job, Ken. Very good job. Do we have enough people for you guys? Do we have enough? Broke the record. There's Mr. Tom Barrack. I didn't recognize him with that hat on. Look at him. Stand up, Tom. Great guy. Great businessman, actually. He's a great businessman. But everybody needs to get out and vote for Ken, who's running right now. A radical California liberal is running against him, and I gave him a very strong endorsement. I put it out on Truth a little while ago. You saw that, and I want to mention, I heard you were here, and I want to mention, so good luck. Get out and vote for Ken Calvert, everybody. We also have members of our great Native American tribes. They're fantastic people. We have the chiefs. We have, where are they? They're here. Where are they? They're phenomenal people, and they're doing a beautiful job. They're great. And we also have a lot of farmers here today. You know, we do very well with the farmers, but the farmers are having a little rough spot because Biden and Kamala are not doing their job. You know, I never use the word Harris, you know, because if I say Harris, nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. I say Harris is doing a terrible job, and they go, who the hell is Harris? It's a funny name, you know. It's a name, you know what I'm talking about, Tom? It's a name that nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about, so I call it Kamala. We also have a really great governor that I've gotten to know really well in the last 6-7 months, and he's doing a terrific job. Spencer Cox of Utah, and he's here someplace. It's a big crowd. He's here someplace amongst 100,000 people. Former National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, good man. Thank you, Robert. And you know, Robert went out and got all of the top people in government, 300 and something of them, right? More than 300. And he went out and got them all, and they all came in the last couple of days and endorsed Trump. They said Trump is the greatest president we've ever had. 300, the top. We only had one problem, Matt. The press refused to cover it. Robert, all that work. But we had 300, the top people in the country. In fact, people that didn't even like me totally said he's great. I don't like him, but man, was he good, because I protected our country. And that was great. But the press hasn't picked it up too much. I'll have to give it to Matt Gaetz. Robert, give him a list. You know, if that were Kamala, they'd make it headlines. With Trump, 300, much more than they had. And these are much better people than they had, too, that I can tell you. Because remember this, I kept your country safe. We had no wars. And I'll keep you out of wars. But we did have one which I had to finish up, ISIS. It was supposed to take 5 years, and it took me 2 months. We also have a man who's a really fantastic person. He's really great. Did an unbelievable job on lots of things. He actually started off as the ambassador to Germany. And the greatest day in Angela Merkel's life was the day I took him out to promote him. She said, "Oh my God, thank you." He drove Angela crazy. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. His name is Rick Grinnell. Thank you, Rick. And he did a fantastic job. And Kash Patel is here, one of our real warriors. A real warrior. And also somebody that's doing a beautiful job out here, even though, I mean, sadly, when you send out 38 million ballots and just send them out, they come back. What the hell? We're going to have to work on that when we get in. We're going to have to work on elections. We need borders, and we need fair elections, and we're going to work on it. But she is doing a great job, and she says I'm setting all sorts of records. GOP chair, California, Jessica Patterson. Jessica, thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. Does really a good job. It's somebody else who was so fantastic today. He's tough. He's a sheriff, and he fits the role. He fits that role. And he had the most beautiful family I've ever seen. Like, everybody is like a perfect specimen. I said, "Sheriff, you're great, but your family looks even better than you." And I liked him from the moment I met him, and I talked to him a little bit, because this was not an easy one to pull off, let me tell you. We had a lot more people than some people thought. A lot of people thought this was what we were going to have, but a lot of people said maybe we'd have 10,000, maybe 20,000, but they didn't say 100,000. But he pulled it off, and he pulled it off because he's tough, and he's smart, and he's proud of his state and his country. Chad Bianco. Thank you, Chad.